So recently a student in my mastermind posted this as a comment. He said, side note, these cool reviews are worth the investment alone. What he's talking about is my underground mentor has reviewed calls for students in my mastermind. He says, watched 10 so far this week and learning so much every time. They're literally addictive. Straight wisdom, zero fluff. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is I want to share with you something that, if you harness, can massively transform the results that you are getting on your high ticket calls. And that is being able to watch game film. Not only your own game film, the calls that you have done, but what Lee is talking about here is he is literally watching other people's calls be reviewed. People in completely different niches with completely different offers, and it is massively valuable to him. If you think about some of the best athletes that have ever walked the planet, the Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans, the Tom Bradys, they have all harnessed game film to take their game to the next level. Whether that is watching things that they did on the court, or studying their competitors, or picking up tools from other players on other teams. They have all harnessed game film. And here's why. When we can actually watch things unfold, we're able to see things at a 30,000 foot view that allows us to internalize the cause and the effect, what's happening, and more importantly, what led to it happening at a much higher level, but also at a much deeper level. That's one of the cool things about being a high ticket closer. This advantage that you have is your performances, your calls are recorded. You have that game film. So if you're not harnessing that game film, like the best athletes who have ever walked the planet have always done, then you are missing out. You are missing out on a massive opportunity to up level your skills. And so if you're not where you want to be financially, if you're not where you want to be in your skill set as a high ticket closer, whether that's you're not earning the commissions you want, you're losing deals that you could be closing, that you should be closing, that you're not closing, and it's annoying you because you know, fuck, I could have closed that person. You're not where you want to be in your level of communication mastery, then and you're not reviewing your calls, you absolutely need to be doing that every single week. On top of that, if you also do not have someone else that is reviewing your calls from time to time who has accomplished what you want to accomplish and beyond, if you don't have someone like that reviewing your calls from time to time, you are massively missing out on your growth opportunity. You are literally stunting your growth. It is like the pro athlete who is making mistakes on the court in their performance. They have that performance recorded, and they're either not reviewing the game tape, or in this case, they're reviewing the game tape, but because you just don't know what you don't know, you don't see things. You don't spot the mistakes, or you spot some of them, but maybe the bigger mistakes you miss, or maybe the deeper mistakes you miss. Maybe you see a mistake and you think, oh, that's what went wrong. But actually that happened because of something deeper. If you don't have someone that has that wisdom, that has that experience, because they've already been through the lessons that you're now struggling to go through, or taking longer to go through than you need to be, or costing you more money, having more consequences than it should be costing you as you're going through those mistakes and those lessons and those learning experiences. If you don't have someone who's already been to where you want to get to and can now show you how to get back, can show you how to reverse engineer it, you're missing out. Likewise, if you're not having the ability to watch game film from other closers, let me share with you a misconception, a lie in the sales industry, something where you've been misled. We get told in the sales industry that you need to learn product knowledge. You need to learn how to sell your specific thing, your specific offer, your specific product or service. That is bullshit. What you actually need to learn is how to understand humans, but then also how to be the player that can maneuver the plays in the game, the plays on the court, where the ball needs to go based on how the opponents are performing, and ensure that you get the ball into the hoop. It's not, oh, let us practice how to play on this court in this city. No. It's let's learn how to play the game. And the game is, what do the opponents do? And then what do I need to do so that I always win? The misconception is, oh, well, I'm not going to get any value from watching a call review from someone that sells something completely different from me. Not if you're learning sales the wrong way, and the way that you're being taught sales is to memorize canned lines or word tracks, or to memorize certain things that you need to say to sell this product to this person on this offer in this industry. No, you wouldn't. But that's very, very, very low level, basic sales. High level sales mastery is understanding the 30,000 foot view of human beings, psychology, and communication. Being able to look at any call review of any offer of any industry and go, I'm reading the person. I'm understanding what they're saying, what it actually means, their mind viruses, their limiting beliefs, their insecurities, their justifications, their rationalizations, simply their excuses. And I'm able to see how what they're thinking, feeling, and saying can be turned into something that's more empowering, a new way of thinking, to put it simply. And just by understanding the human being and where they're at right now and having the communication ability to move them psychologically, spiritually, emotionally to where they need to be, I can close anything to anyone at any time on any offer. That is the level of sales that we teach inside the Unicorn Closer Mastermind. It's not memorize a canned line or an analogy or an objection handling line. It's learn to read people. And you'll never learn to read people if all you're doing is reading from a script, because all you're practicing is how to run the same play every time, regardless of what the opponents do. No, what you actually have to start to understand is the mind of people, why they say the things they say, what that actually means, and then master your ability to communicate at the highest level, which is abstract communication. It's not subject specific or offer specific or niche specific or product or service specific. It's abstract communication. Okay, this person thinks, feels, and behaves this way. That's not serving them. That's not going to get them where they want to get to. It's not going to allow them to have success. It's also not going to allow them to buy. And if I move them to a new way of thinking, using scriptless selling and also having the internal mastery so that you bring someone to that new way through the way that you're showing up, through who and what you're embodying, then you're able to close anybody. And so that misconception is, oh, I'm not going to get much value from watching core reviews from other people. Well, as Lee just said, he's watched 10 so far this week. Do you think he would have watched 10 so far this week if he wasn't learning so much? As he said, literally addictive, straight wisdom, zero fluff. And he says that the core reviews are worth the entire investment alone. So that all being said, when I first started learning high ticket sales, my underground mentor, he gave me 4 of his calls, 4 of his game films, essentially, calls that closed. And he said, study these. There was no role plays. There was no live calls. There was no, having a conversation with him. It was just, here's my game film. Study it. And so I did. I put those calls on repeat and I listened to them all day, every day, to the point where after a year to 18 months of having access to those 4 calls, I had listened no less than hundreds, if not thousands of times to those 4 calls combined. The point where now, if I put it on 4 years later, I would be able to tell you everything the prospect's going to say, everything that my underground mentor did say, what then happens. I was studying those calls in forensic detail. Now, when I say studying, I would handwrite every single thing that happened on the call, what the prospect said, what my underground mentor said, the feelings, the sensations that I felt. Okay, so he said this, and then the prospect kind of took a 3-second break before he responded, and he sighed, he went, oh, and then he responded. So then I would be drawing the connections with what was going on with the prospect, what my underground mentor then had to do to move the prospect through the discovery to get to a point where he would close the call objectionless and get it paid in full as well. And so I studied those calls in forensic detail. I wrote down every single thing, not just once. I wrote down every single thing again and again and again. Even when I already knew what was about to happen, I would write it down again because I was building it into my muscle memory. I was building it into my understanding of humans, psychology, and communication. My ability to navigate, or as my underground mentor taught me, to be the orchestrator of a perfect discovery. It's no different to the pro athlete, the athlete that committed to becoming the best in the game, a legend, an icon, someone that transcended time like Michael Jordan, going to be remembered forever. And they didn't just watch game film once. They would study that game film in forensic detail. They'd have a whiteboard behind them, or they'd have some pictures that they printed out and draw lines between it. If you truly want to be a master closer that is going to earn a massive living from sales, that is the level of commitment and massive action that you need to put into this when it comes to reviewing game film. As I started to get on calls, from time to time, he would review my calls. He'd send me a review of my game tape. And he would pinpoint rapidly, this is the thing that lost the sale. Sometimes in minutes. And I'd be like, what? He already knows that it was going to close and this is why it was going to close. And he would give me that pinpoint surgical feedback. And then he would tell me, this is what you need to do different. You need to work on this. And he'd give me one thing. Sometimes he'd give me 2 or 3 smaller things, but almost on every call review, it would be, this is the thing that you need to work on next. And so I would go away. I would take my next calls, I'd implement and execute the feedback that he gave me, and I would jump over that hurdle. Okay, I'm not fucking that up again. I would then have another thing that I was fucking up. He wouldn't give me lines to say. He wouldn't tell me, oh, you should have said this, you should have said that. He'd say, this is what you did wrong. Instead of focusing on this, you focused on that. Or instead of showing up in this way, you showed up in that way. And that's what fucked up the call. So he'd give me that precise feedback, and he'd review my game film, which is exactly what Lee is referring to when he says, these call reviews are worth the entire investment alone. My underground mentor, from time to time, reviews calls from members inside the Unicorn Closer Mastermind. Every single week, for 4 hours, I review calls of the Unicorn Closer students on a live call, just like Lee was able to get massive value from extracting the points on human understanding, psychology, and communication from call reviews of other closers. All of the closers inside the mastermind get access to that same level of deep diagnosis of all different closers, of all different offers, of all different niches on the weekly live training. And so here's the deal. If you are not harnessing game film in some way, shape, or form on a regular weekly basis, whether that's reviewing your own game film, whether that is having someone else who's significantly better than you and accomplish what you want to accomplish as a high-ticket closer, reviewing your game film, or watching other closers' calls be reviewed and extracting the golden nuggets from that, you are missing out on a massive opportunity to be improving as a high-ticket closer, to be mastering communication and human behavior, and you are flushing a massive amount of commissions, money down the drain every single week. In our mastermind, at this point in time, we have 70-ish call reviews from my underground mentor reviewing high-ticket sales calls in every niche across every offer that you can imagine. Because here's the bottom line. The prospects are sitting there waiting to give you their money. Are you going to take it? Are you man enough or woman enough to take it? Jokes aside, prospects are booking on your calendar, and sales is a duty. It is sacred. It is an honorable profession where someone has booked on your calendar knowing that they're not where they want to be. They're not where they need to be. And yet they're stuck. They're getting in their own way. They're procrastinating, justifying, making excuses, rationalizing, and a part of them is hoping and praying that when they turn up to your sales call, that you are good enough that you can close them. They want to be closed. They're sitting there waiting to give you their money. And if you are not harnessing the power of reviewing your game film with a mentor who can show you what you can't see, show you your blind spots that you're not aware of, show you what you don't know, you don't even know, then you're letting them down. You're not only not going to get paid and not earn the commissions that you want, because you won't earn the commissions that you want if you're letting people down, if you're not providing a service to the world. But let me ask you a question. What are their names? What are the names of all the people that you are going to continue to let down until you get your act together?